Hey, hello. This is Debbie Peterson of Getting to Clarity, and this is the Way Forward in Your Career and Life show because you are just one person, even though there's multiple aspects of your life. And so today I am talking about the whisper. So, are you listening to the whisper of your internal guidance? This came up this weekend in a couple of ways. So that's why I wanted to talk to you about this today. So, one, I was asked to write an article for the Girl Scouts about 2020 and what I've learned and what I'm doing as a result of going forward. And then the second way that it came up, so it came up in that article, and the second way it came up was with a retreat I conducted over the weekend and how the whisper really guided each of us to move beyond where we were to a place that we didn't even think was either possible or we could have even envisioned. So the whisper, one of the things is that just because you've always done it a certain way doesn't mean that you should still continue to do so. Things change, life changes. And of course, this year has been huge changes. So when you think about it, it's been a period of forced creativity. So we have had no choice but to do things differently. We have had no choice but to figure things out and going about them in a different way. So things like working from home and how do we set that up? What does that look like? Kids in school, online learning, and how does that fit into a work day? And even visiting with friends and family, maybe that's a little easier now, but in the beginning it was much more difficult to do so. And going things that are important to you, like going to church and voting. I mean, all of this has just been literally turned on its head, and we've had to figure out a different way. Even going to the grocery store, right? So pat yourself on the back, first of all, for everything that you've achieved, all that you've had to navigate, and the ways that you've been able to adapt, because change is inevitable. Life is going to change, but it's what you do as a result. And usually when there is a change, there's also a whisper. And so my question to you is, are you hearing the whisper? Or are you hearing the whisper and ignoring it? Because that sometimes happens too. There was a recent study by McKinsey and Company, and this has been published, that 1 in 4 women are considering stepping away or stepping back or slowing down in some capacity in their career as a result of the pandemic. So for women leaders, for women emerging leaders, this is absolutely impacting your progress and your advancement, but it's impacting your life in a big way. And I would take one more step up from that. It is impacting industries and it is impacting companies because we need a balanced workforce. There are studies that prove that when you have more women in management, in executive leadership, and on boards, that businesses do better because it's a number of perspectives that are coming to the table. And if these perspectives are withdrawing as a result of this, that is definitely a problem. And so sometimes as women, especially as busy, productive, high achieving, like come to me, I'll get it done, I've got a track record for amazing results, sort of women, we take on a lot. This time period is a period of change. And now more than ever, it's an opportunity for us to look at things, and especially the things that are important to us. So, I'm a keynote speaker. And I would get on planes and I would travel to conferences and I would speak at women in leadership and emerging leader events. And I would meet great people. And there were pre-function events. And I got to have all of these conversations and shake all these hands and just learn things about very interesting people, cities all over the country. And then COVID hit. So big change. And interestingly enough, though, at the end of 2019, there was a whisper for me. And the whisper kind of wouldn't go away. And what the whisper was is that I knew as a keynote wasn't enough, that I was meeting women in these audiences, maybe women like you who it is just, I don't know what's next. And maybe next isn't a job, but it's just like where I feel stuck. I feel like I've got no momentum. I'm not moving forward. I'm not making any progress. I don't know what I want to do. And so they didn't know what was next. There was that question mark in the brain. And it could be women. I would run into women who did know what was next, but no matter what they were trying, they weren't getting in the results. And, that was because there was something holding them back. And, even women who had declared success in their life, that, they are achieving what it is that they want, that they're checking off all of those boxes. They're doing it at the expense of who they are. So it is depleting them. The more they do it, they were fine before, what they did was getting them to where they wanted to go. They get the results, but then at some point it catches up with you and it starts depleting you. And so usually in times like that, there is a whisper. So my whisper at the end of 2019 was build it. And what it ended up being is the way forward in your career and life, because you are just one person. And so this is for women who are tired of sacrificing everything for the sake of success. And what it is it's programming and support and accountability. It is deep thinking. It is community. It is brainstorming and an up-leveling of this community to really help women figure out what is next for them. But you know what? Then came more lessons. So, when my business crashed and the keynotes went away, I wallowed in my pity for a while, but then I figured this out, that this is where I needed to focus my attention, and I got to it. And so what happened is that, I was pushing and hustling and forcing it to happen, making it happen. And do you ever find yourself in that space where you are doing everything you know how to do? You are doing what you've been told to do, and you are just trying to make it happen. And you end up in that space where when it's not happening, it gets frustrating. And you start looking in on yourself and thinking, well, what is it that I'm doing wrong? And that was what was coming up for me this summer. That, and it didn't feel good. And, even though I knew this was absolutely the right way forward, and I was doing everything I knew how to bring it to fruition, I was working against myself. And how that came to be, or how I saw that, was that in June, my grandson was born. And that really caused me to think about, if I am putting all of my time and energy into this, and there is no Debbie outside of work, and believe me, I've got other friends who have been in the same boat, that I don't have a life outside of work, that I am on all day long, that I can't put the phone away, that I'm always checking things, even when I've told my family I'm not. That there's a whisper under there of guiding you to a place where that isn't be. So that whisper showed up for me when my grandson was born. And I figured out that I had to be the one to create it the way that I wanted it, or at least as closely to it as I could get, and keep making decisions that move me in that direction. So my question for you is this: when is the last time that you have really taken that time and that space to do the deep thinking about what is important? What is important to me? What is it that I want to protect? What does it mean, success for me? What am I moving towards? Or am I just taking everything that's out there and heaping it on my shoulders? Because that is certainly a recipe for stress. And so if you're focused on everything, it doesn't allow you to really focus on anything. And, life goes on. Things change, and you have to have an opportunity to make change as well, that align with you and move you towards what you want. So, whether it is your career or it's another area of your life, what is most important to you? And what is the whisper trying to tell you? Because right now, I know there's plenty on your mind. I've heard from the people in my community about the things that wake them up, the things that are keeping them up at night. Things like work-life balance, making time for family, an overwhelming workload, that it's tough to keep up, is what I've been told. That there are financial stresses, and that there are, um, you know, time management and relationships that are all bubbling up in the middle of the night. And so, is it that you're forced in one particular direction, or is it that you've got focus? And so, here's what I want to put in front of you. If you are interested in a community where you are part of a group of like-minded individuals, where you are able to get direction, where you're able to clear the fog, so to speak, you're able to do the deep work and do the deep thinking about what is next for you, and to be supported while you're doing that. I had a gal tell me that she felt less lonely, even though we were on virtually. She felt connected and supported, and so appreciated the ideas that came to the surface as a result of the group. We had an opportunity to clear obstacles and feel energized with our way forward, having that focus and that confidence of our direction. If a community like that sounds like something that you might really enjoy, that it would give you the support that you need to move forward, I would love to have a conversation with you and see if it might be a fit. I'd love to learn more about, especially if you are having a hard time hearing the whisper, about some of the things that may get in the way. Because here's what I know for sure, right? Oprah says this. Here's what I know for sure. You already have everything that you need to accomplish everything that you want already inside of you. You just have to figure out what is covering up the whispers or the clues that can lead you in that direction. If I can be of good service to you and you'd like to have a conversation about that, I would love to do a strategy session to see if we can figure out your way forward, and certainly the obstacles that you need to spend some time focusing on. So if that's the case, go to claritywithdebbie.com. It's down at the bottom of the screen, claritywithdebbie.com, and it would be my pleasure to support you. So until next week, here is wishing you the clarity and the listening skills to be able to hear that whisper. Bye-bye for now. Have a great day.